Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Arizona.
This D-backs California cruise continues. We started in Los Angeles, went to the Bay Area for the weekend, and now we're back in L.A. First of two tonight in Anaheim. It's the D-backs' first trip here in 3 years, and looking to continue that winning mojo after sweeping 3 from the Giants. It's the D-backs and the Angels on Fox Sports Arizona. And good evening from Angel Stadium. Welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthune, Bob Brenly along the way. It's the Diamondbacks and the Angels, a 4-game home-and-home series here. 2 games here tonight and tomorrow, 2 at Chase Field on Wednesday and Thursday afternoon. So that means, Bob, it's a 4-game matchup here of 2 of the best first basemen in the game and 2 of baseball's best center fielders.
You know, Steve, you'd be hard-pressed to find 2 teams that were more dependent on their 2-star players than the Diamondbacks and the Angels. You see the comparative numbers between Mike Trout, arguably the best player in the game right now, and the season that A.J. Pollock is having. Should be a lot of fun to watch these 2 go head-to-head in this series.
And Mike Trout, the reigning AL MVP, still just a baby, but he plays like a Hall of Famer.
He really does. He just has great instincts for the game to go along with that supreme talent that he has, and one of the shortest, quickest swings you will ever see in the game.
So it's Mike Trout and A.J. Pollock in center field head-to-head here, and that leaves the first base battle. Players really almost of 2 different generations, but very similar hitters, both right-hand power hitters, Paul Goldschmidt and the great Albert Pujols.
And when all is said and done, they'll probably go down as 2 as the best right-handed hitters in the history of the game. Albert Pujols have been doing it for a little bit longer than Goldie, obviously. Goldie hits for a much higher average, Pujols with the power, but that experience that he has from his years with the Cardinals and here with the Angels may give him a slight edge over Goldie in this series. We'll see.
And how good a season is Pujols and Trout having? Well, they're tied for the American League lead in home runs right now. So buckle up, D-back fans. This should be a whole lot of fun. The Diamondbacks and the Angels from Anaheim. First pitch is next on Fox Sports Arizona.
Part by Cox Gigablast. How will you live the gig life? By Lone Butte Casino. You're in for more winning moments at Lone Butte Casino. And by Jack in the Box. Taste the new black pepper cheeseburger today, only at Jack in the Box.
California dreaming. Diamondbacks and Angels, first of four in this home and home series, and tonight the first of two in Anaheim. We'll play two here at Angel Stadium tonight, tomorrow, then two back home at Chase Field Wednesday night and Thursday afternoon. And Chip Hale said today the Diamondbacks, Bob, have been waiting to get some DH games, as he called them, for some time now, because, as Chip said, it gives them a chance to get everybody in there, and they're all in there tonight.
Yeah, get an extra bat in the lineup. Of course, it means you only have a three-man bench available tonight. Jared Saltalamacchia, Cliff Pennington, and Aaron Hill, but with that in mind, you got that extra offensive player. It gives Chip an opportunity to slide Tomas into that DH spot and get his best defensive outfield on the field at the same time.
Of course, Chip was a bench coach in Oakland in the American League for a long time in this division, and so this is nothing new for him. Here come the Angels, who come into this game just a game over 500. They've lost 7 of their last 11, and the offense has struggled, scoring 2 or fewer runs 6 times in those 11 games. And here is Chip Hale's lineup for the Diamondbacks tonight.
Ender Inciarte leading it off out in right field. A.J. Pollock in center field. It had a great month of June so far. Paul Goldschmidt at first base. David Peralta in left. As I mentioned, Yasmani Tomas filling that DH role tonight. Jake Lamb at third. Chris Owings at second. Wellington Castillo doing the catching. And Nick Ahmed at shortstop.
And on the mound for the Angels, your Arizona Ford starting pitcher, Jared Weaver, the 32-year-old right-hander. Last year, no American League pitcher won more games. He has had mixed results this season. What about the running game tonight? We asked first base coach Dave McKay.
People have run on him. He's not real quick to the plate. He's got a tremendous move to first base. So you have to look for things that possibly tell us when he's thrown over, and he's a hard guy to read. And so even though he has slower times, it makes it tough to run, because if he's coming over and you're trying to get that little jump, then he's probably going to pick you off.
Well, Weaver has lost more games than he's won this year. His ERA headed to a new career worst, up a full run over last season. And the Twins' Phil Hughes is the only American League pitcher who surrendered more home runs this year than Jared Weaver.
Yeah, statistically, all the numbers up for Jared Weaver this season, with the exception of velocity, down almost 3 miles per hour on all of his deliveries. He throws a 4-seamer, a 2-seamer. He'll mix in a curveball and a changeup, a very occasional slider. But with that in mind, don't expect any radar gun lighting fastballs tonight from Jared Weaver.
Chip Hale said today Diamondbacks hitters will almost be sitting on off-speed pitches from Weaver. They know the fastball isn't anything close to what it was 5 years ago when he led the league in strikeouts. So the D-backs tonight will have to be ready for a lack of fastballs from Weaver, especially in fastball counts. The Diamondbacks and the Angels, a 4-game home and home, first of 2 here at Angel Stadium, set to begin on a beautiful Monday night in the L.A. area. I know Los Angeles people get upset when you call Anaheim L.A., so
Southern California.
We're just sort of near the zone. Ender Inciarte set to lead it off, and we are underway. That's ball 1. The crew chief, Bill Miller, is our plate umpire tonight. Ender at 288 and 2 homers. Inciarte, 7 hits on the road trip. He scored 4 times. And as Bob mentioned, you will not see any big-time radar gun readings from the veteran Jared Weaver tonight. The velocity has been a constant concern this season. There's a strike. It's 2-1. And he still has very good command. In fact, he's got fewer walks this year than home runs allowed.
How about that?
That breaking ball that he'll drop in there. You'll see that 67-mile-an-hour big slow curveballs. The breaking stuff, the off-speed stuff. To right-handers, he'll throw the slider. To left-handers, he'll drop that slow curveball in there for strikes along with a changeup.
And Weaver, despite the lack of velocity, has a lot of deception in his delivery. A real long-arm slinging action once he turns to deliver that ball to home plate.
Albert Pujols pounces on that one. Weaver covers, and they throw out Inciarte, who's hurt. Ender Inciarte grabbing the back of his right leg.
Just speculating, looks like a hamstring. When you grab the back of your leg, that's generally the issue. Boy, that is not a good sign.
Don't forget, with the DH, you've got a 3-man bench tonight. Ken Crenshaw, the trainer, is out there. Here's a look.
Ender's just trying to outrun Weaver to the base right there. It actually happened when he started to break it down after Weaver got to the base a step ahead of Ender Inciarte. He was kind of slowing down, and that's when he grabbed at the back of that right leg. Well, you keep your fingers crossed and hope this is just an early game cramp and not a hamstring pull.
Well, you could theoretically move Tomas into the outfield, but then you'd lose your DH spot, right?
Right. And with the short bench, I mean, that's not out of the question. The pitcher would then have to hit for himself, but if you had enough bench to pinch hit for the pitcher every time his spot came up, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But with a three-man bench, one of them being your backup catcher, you certainly don't want to do that. Well, we're in prime foul ball territory, partner.
Yeah, we are just high enough over that back stop the screen there. In fact, Jose Mota just to our right, working Angels radio, sits there with a glove. He's ready. We'll keep a close eye on Ender Inciarte, and as soon as we have some information from the Diamondbacks, we will, of course, pass it along to you. There's a pop-up and foul ground near the Diamondback dugout. Pujols is there, but it's over the railing.
Not much foul territory here at the Big A, or whatever they call it now. Other than directly behind home plate, wild pitches and pass balls, the catcher's going to have to turn around and do some sprinting. But the area down both the first and third base lines, not a lot of foul territory.
AJ 7th in the National League and hitting at .319, and that OPS puts him just inside the top 20 in the National League. Another 0-2 from Weaver. Dropped it in there. Here's Goldie. Paul Goldschmidt leading the major leagues in hitting with a .359 batting average and is second in the majors in OPS behind only Bryce Harper. There's another first pitch curveball. That slow 67, 68 mile an hour curveball that he drops in there for strikes. And steals one there on Goldie. Gets 0-1. Goes what looks like a fastball away. You can never be quite sure with Weaver these days. Chip Hale said before the game tonight he really wants to get Goldie a half day off in this series, so he will DH tomorrow night. And it looks like Yasmani Tomas will play first base. This is driven to right field, and it's off the base of the wall. Cole Calhoun is out there. He plays it off the carom, and Goldie is in there with his 15th double. Boy, he is red hot right now. He's hit safely in 6 straight.
And every time he makes contact, it's right on the barrel of the bat. This one, a screaming line drive into that gap in right center field. Calhoun gave it a look, decided just to play it on a hop off the wall. That's all Goldie needed to chug into second with a 2-out double.
And he's in scoring position for David Peralta. David in the cleanup spot tonight. 262 and 5 home runs. Play on at second. The shortstop, Eric Ibar, sneaking in there behind Goldschmidt. .69 mile an hour breaking ball in there for strike one. He's done that almost the whole inning so far. Peralta got the start yesterday in the series sweep of the Giants. 1 for 5 with 3 strikeouts. He's got 4 hits on the road trip. Pujols right to him. Calls off Weaver, and they strand the 2-out double. Just underway in Anaheim. The Diamondbacks and the Angels. Here comes Robbie Ray back after this. Alta, originally in left field in Chip Hale's lineup, replaces Ender Inciarte in right. And now in left is Cliff Pennington. Cliff Pennington has played one game as a professional in the outfield. It was 2009 in AAA with Sacramento. He played one game in left field. He has never played the outfield in the big leagues. So, where do I go?
This is going to be an ongoing process throughout the evening as the Diamondbacks bench moves Penny around.
Eric Ibar tries to bunt for a base hit. Robbie Ray is on it. One pitch, one out. Well, if anybody can handle this, it's Cliff Pennington. He has played all over the field. He has catching equipment of his own, so he's the emergency catcher. And tonight he is the emergency left fielder with Ender Inciarte having to leave the game.
Obviously, a lot of downsides to this, but probably the biggest one for Cliff is he didn't get an opportunity to go out in left field and take some fly balls during batting practice, read some balls off the bat. Didn't really get a chance to do any of that, so the first fly ball that comes his way will be the first one he's seen in a while.
Well, you know it's coming too, right?
He usually does, yeah.
Here's Mike Trout. Mike Trout just under 300 for the year. He and Pujols tied for the American League lead with 18 homers. There's a strike from Robbie, 1-1. The reigning AL MVP, the unanimous winner in the voting, received all 30 first place votes from the writers last year. And he is almost as hot as Pujols is. And Pujols is on deck. Trout has homered 7 times in his last 14 games. Fastball misses away, and it's 2-1. There is Albert the Great. Take a look at the lineup for Mike Scioscia's LA Angels of Anaheim.
Now we've seen Eric Ibar in the leadoff spot. He's the shortstop. Mike Trout, the center fielder, followed by Albert Pujols. You see his career numbers against the D-backs. He'll be at first. David Freese DHing. Cole Calhoun out in right field. Johnny Giobatella at second base. Carlos Perez does the catching. Kyle Kubica at third base. And Daniel Robertson in left field.
He's been around a while, huh?
Yeah, and if any manager should know how to control a running game, it's Mike Scioscia. You know, the Diamondbacks getting a reputation as a team that likes to run those bases. As Trout takes a look at a called third strike.
Bill Miller rings him up.
Oh, right there, that is a perfect strike. Bottom of the knees, outside corner.
Well, he can live down there for the next decade. Albert Pujols. We are told by the Angels folks that even his outs are well hit balls these days. He is red hot right now. Strike one.
He's been red hot pretty much his whole career.
It sure has, hasn't it? 10 home runs in his last 16 games. And during that stretch, he's hit about .390. And the batting average for Pujols, as you just saw, .276 coming in. That was in the low 230s in the middle of last month, so it's come up more than 40 points. And Robbie Ray quickly ahead 0-2. Their Arizona Ford starting pitcher for the Diamondbacks, the pride of Brentwood, Tennessee, 23-year-old left-hander Robbie Ray. Angels might be a difficult matchup for him. They are very right-hand heavy, although no Angels regular has ever faced Robbie Ray. There's a little flare in a very shallow center. A.J. Pollock runs it down, and Robbie Ray works a 1-2-3 first. No score after 1 at Angel Stadium. You got to find a glove, too, right?
Yeah, I wonder whose outfield glove he's using. I know he's got a catcher's mitt. He's got a third base glove, a second base glove. And getting some help from Dave McKay. Just get him up to speed on the signs. If I touch my chest, that means come in. If I do this, it means do that. That's one thing where it really helps to be a bench player, because you spend so much time sitting in there with the coaches and watching what they do and how they run a game that I'm sure Cliff will get up to speed quickly.
As Monty Tomas just under 330 and a pair of homers. He's the DH tonight. And figures to play first base for the Diamondbacks tomorrow, says Chip Hale, as Goldie will get a half day off. There's Chip, who's, of course, seen a lot of the Angels. He's seen a lot of this ballpark, having been Bob Melvin's bench coach in Oakland. Sky-high pop-up into that light sky this time of night, but an easy play for Pujols. Brings up Jake Lamb.
Jake really started to show some signs yesterday in San Francisco of coming around since returning off the disabled list. A ringing double down the right field line, a single. He also drew an intentional walk.
Hitting .327 with a homer. 4 hits and 15 at-bats on this road trip.
Hey fans, anytime the D-backs score 5 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
Weaver strikes out Lamb, 2 down. Second strikeout for Jared Weaver. Brings up Chris Owings.
We've talked about Weaver's velocity, how it's down a little bit this year, and with the velocity dropping a little bit, the movement on his pitches has dropped a little bit. Doesn't have quite the sinking action he used to have on that 2-seam fastball, but that time got Jake Lamb to swing right over the top.
He's hit 88. It was in April and early May as low consistently as 83, so it has come up here the last few weeks or so. But the velocity has dropped to alarming levels at different points this year. CO just under 240. And Weaver, when he was in his prime, a guy who was an all-star for 3 years in a row at the beginning of this decade, finished in the top 5 in the Cy Young voting each of those seasons, used to be a strikeout machine. You can see the dip in the velocity. In fact, he led the league in strikeouts 5 years ago. That season was 2010. Struck out 25% of the batters he faced that year. This season, that strikeout percentage has dropped to under 12. And he strikes out Owings, 2 in the inning. He's got 3 for the ball game. No score in Anaheim. The Diamondbacks and the Angels. tonight. Every D-backs homer raises $12,000 for prostate cancer research. And you can make a pledge by going online to homerunchallenge.org. David Freese, the Angels DH, leads off the second against Robbie Ray, who had a 11 pitch first, and there's strike one. Freese, 245 and 9 homers, but heating up lately. He's hit safely in 14 of his last 15 games. A big postseason hero with Tony La Russa's 2011 Cardinals, and he takes a big cut at that one. It's 0-2. MVP of both the NLCS and the World Series that year. Hit .545 in the National League Championship Series, including 3 homers to win the pennant. And then hit about .350 in the World Series. 7 RBIs in 7 games against Texas, including that dramatic walk-off homer in the 11th inning that won a thrilling Game 6 at Busch Stadium. And then had 2 RBIs in Game 7. Now that's a postseason.
That's a postseason. You got that right. And did it for his hometown team. Grew up right outside of St. Louis. Went to high school and junior college there.
And played like Gonzo did eventually at South Alabama.
Yeah.
He's a Jaguar, 9th round pick. But traded from the Cardinals to the Angels before last year. He's played mostly third base this season, DHing tonight. 2-2.
Got traded for 2 of the fastest outfielders in the National League, Randall Grichuk and Pete Borges.
That's true. Yeah, Grichuk, we saw him in St. Louis. He looks terrific. What a prospect he is. 2-2 pitch. Second full count so far in 4 batters by Robbie Ray, so he's got to get a little more efficient here. Got a quick 1 pitch out to lead off the ball game when Ibar tried to bunt for a base hit. This is driven right at AJ in center. Boy, that's positioning right there.
It sure is. He didn't even have to move. Kind of got down in an athletic position, ready to go any direction if necessary, but that line drive was hit right to him in his tracks out there in center field.
Right at you. Those are the toughest ones, they always tell us. We'll hear from Buckeye High School and ASU Sun Devil. 8th round pick by the Angels 5 years ago. It's the left-hand hitting Cole Calhoun, who's a fan favorite here at Anaheim. And he hits lefties. There is no need to platoon Cole Calhoun, just under 280 for the year with 6 home runs. Just hit a go-ahead home run in the 8th inning the other night here in his own bobblehead night. Cliff Pennington, his first test out there in left, filling in for the injured Inciarte. He's all smiles. This is fun. And he's taking a bow. Nicely done.
Bullpen giving him a round of applause out there in left field. Nothing to it. Atta baby. He's got a different glove now than he had in his first inning of work out there in left. I'll tell you, for me personally, a guy that has not played outfield before, I think he ought to use his infield glove.
Why is that?
It's completely different. An outfield glove is long and slender, and the pocket is completely different than an infield glove where you break the fingers down a little bit. The pocket is more horizontal than vertical. And it looks like he is using his infield glove out there now.
Boy, the bullpen's really having some fun with him. Yeah, that looks like something you'd play highlight with compared to what he usually uses in the infield. Johnny Giavotella, the second baseman. 1-0 pitch. Giavotella, the former Kansas City Royal, who has won the second base job here. His first season with the Angels in a landslide. He's had a good year. Just never was able to stick with the Royals organization, but he has fit the bill in Anaheim. There's a strike, 2-1. And he's hot right now, hitting over .320 his last 20 games. Lifts it out to Peralta in right field. Drifts back, and he's got it. 6 up, 6 down for Robbie Ray. No score through 2 at Angel Stadium. Emergency outfield gig. He's joking around with his teammates and coaches. He's switched gloves back and forth. Everybody seems to be around him smiling and having a good time.
Well, let's hope he's still smiling at the end of the ball game.
It's true. Wellington Castillo, the catcher, leads off the third against Jared Weaver. Welly 5 for 20 with the Diamondbacks, including a homer and 2 RBIs. He's at 190 for the year. Castillo had a base hit in his start in San Francisco yesterday when he caught Ruby De La Rosa's outstanding performance, and had a big night Friday at AT&T Park, had 3 hits. And Chip Hale said tonight the Diamondbacks decided they wanted Castillo back there tonight. They could have gone with Salty, who's played in this ballpark a pretty fair amount. He used to be a Texas Ranger and, of course, was in Boston. But as Chip said, it's time for Wellington to learn Robbie Ray. And he said the coaches were anxious to see how Castillo works with Robbie Ray tonight.
Saltalamacchia had a little bit of history against Weaver as well in his days in the American League. But as you said, they want him to see everybody in the rotation, get used to what each guy features, when he's at his best, when he's at his worst, and how to get him through 9 innings.
Leadoff walk. Told you that Weaver did not walk a whole lot of batters. That's just his 14th walk all season. And this is his 14th starts. Through 5 balls total the first 2 innings, and 4 in that at bat. So here's Nick Ahmed batting 9th with the DH, the shortstop. Nick 217 and 3 homers. And he had some good at-bats in the last series against the Giants. Drew 3 bases on balls and a single and a walk Friday.
It seems like it's all part of the progression. Early in the season, Nick was packing at a lot of pitches out of the strike zone, taking good strikes. But as he's gotten a better eye and better rhythm up there at the plate, swinging at strikes, hitting them hard, laying off the bad ones.
Along the left field line, but drifting foul.
Yeah, when you're struggling and your numbers are bad early in the season, you just feel like you have to hit your way out of a slump. You got to swing at everything the guy throws up there, and opposing pitchers took advantage of Nick early in the season, but he has really settled down up there at the plate.
And remember, Chip Hale told us Diamondbacks hitters in this ball game tonight will almost be sitting on off-speed stuff. They do not expect too many fastballs from Jared Weaver, especially in fastball counts. He has had to be more crafty here as his velocity has diminished. This is popped up along the right field line. Cole Calhoun is there.
Cliff Pennington, as we mentioned, started the game in left field, or came in rather for Ender Inciarte in left field, using a black glove in his first experience out there defensively, but feels much more comfortable with the glove he's used to. That's his third base mitt on the right that he used in the second inning, and I'm sure that's what he'll use the rest of the game. And you can just see the difference in the gloves right there. Those outfielders' gloves about 11.5, 12 inches long. They break them in to be very long so they can reach up over barriers or dive for balls in the gap and have a lot of glove out there to extend. Infielders need a little bit more of a flexible glove with a smaller pocket so they can pick up grounders, get the ball out quickly, and throw to first base.
Cliff Pennington 157, 1 for 7 on the road trip. And if you're just joining us, the emergency left fielder, Ender Inciarte, who led off the ball game, apparently injured a leg, trying to beat out a base hit and had to leave the ball game. And with a DH and a thin bench, it's Pennington in left. He pops that one up. Perez has it. This was how Ender Inciarte led off the ball game tonight. And keep an eye on his right leg.
Actually happened when he was slowing down. Most of the time you think of a hamstring injury when you're accelerating, but it looked like it happened when he was slowing down.
So Ender had to leave the ball game. Still no word from the clubhouse on his condition, but with the DH in play and a thin bench, Chip Hale really had to scramble, and Cliff Pennington answered the call, and he's out there in left. Here's AJ, who struck out looking his first time up.
A.J. Pollock since May 19th. Now, these are the ranks in the major leagues, not just the National League. He has been one of the best players in the game going back to the middle of May.
373 over his last 25 games. He's scored 20 runs. He's driven in 16, hit 5 homers, and stolen 8 bases. It's a pretty good 3-week run.
And made every play defensively in center field that came his direction.
Yeah, he's had a big month. He's hitting .340 in June. Wellington Castillo, the runner at first. 2 outs. Here's the 2-0, and Weaver misses. He's already walked 1 in the ball game. He has walked 1 or fewer batters, Jared Weaver, in 10 of his 13 starts this year. The command has been outstanding. But he's behind on Pollock 3-0 after walking Castillo to lead off this inning. And he walks Pollock on 4 pitches.
This should be a perfect storm. The Diamondbacks have been one of the best teams in baseball, scoring with 2 outs in the inning. First in the National League with 125 runs scored with 2 outs. And Jared Weaver has really had issues once he gets to 2 outs in an inning. 33 runs allowed, a .321 opponent's batting average.
So 2 on, 2 out for Goldie, who doubled to right his first time up. Castillo at second and Pollock at first. Two outs and runners in scoring position this year. He's a .500 hitter. Weaver now at 40 pitches already, 25 for strikes. Here's the 1-0. Off speed pitch that he gets up in the air deep to center field. Trout backing up, and that ball is gone. A home run. Paul Goldschmidt takes it out of here, his 18th, and it's 3-0 Diamondbacks.
With 2 quick outs in the inning, they fell right into our trap again.
He's now hit safely in 6 straight games. The last 5 have been multi-hit games.
Boy, really waits well on that breaking pitch. We were told the Diamondbacks are going to look for some off-speed pitches tonight, and Goldie timed that one perfectly. Slow curveball wrapped into the bushes out there in center field.
Will walk to lead off the inning. And then a 2-out walk just ahead of Goldie leads to a 3-0 Diamondback lead as Goldie hits his 18th of the year. 1-1 on Peralta.
Weaver's 15th home run he surrendered this year. 10 of those have been solos. Hopefully that'll take a little pressure off of Robbie Ray and Cliff Pennington in left field.
Big time.
Getting an early lead in the ball game.
On the ground is shortstop. Ibar has it. Peralta came close running up that line, but he's out to end the third. Paul Goldschmidt. 18 homers, now up to 53 RBIs. He's 2 for 2, a double and a homer, and it's 3-0 Diamondbacks.
Alongside a very special guest. It is the 20th annual Home Run Challenge. This week of Father's Day, we bring you men's health awareness, prostate cancer awareness, and it all starts with this man, Mike Milken, joining me right now. You are the founder and chairman of the Prostate Cancer Foundation. Mike, I know you're a survivor. You were diagnosed in 1993. You beat it. How different are things today than back then when you were diagnosed?
Things are totally different. Then very few men got tested for prostate cancer. And this is the #1 awareness program for men to get tested for prostate cancer. That was the first thing that started to dramatically reduce the death rate because people got diagnosed earlier. The second thing is the home runs that have been hit, $45 million from those home runs. Like the one we just saw from maybe Major League Baseball's best hitter. We also saw him hit a home run the very first game of the Home Run Challenge in Milwaukee. So those home runs have led to 6 new therapies. And so those men with advanced prostate cancer are living longer, healthier lives. A man diagnosed today with prostate cancer has a 99% chance of living at least 5 years. And for most of them, a normal life.
You mentioned the home run, Paul Goldschmidt. Tonight, every home run by the D-backs is worth $12,000 for the research. That is the magic of this home run challenge. Of course, now let me ask you, you said awareness. That's been out there more and more in recent years. How simple is it for a man to get tested?
It's just a simple blood test, like you're getting your cholesterol checked. That's simple. And it's an early warning system. We wish all life-threatening diseases had an early warning system. Unfortunately, they don't. But the research we've done on prostate cancer today is now affecting all forms of cancer. And the growth of immunology, precision medicine, there are 15 million Americans today living normal lives who've had prostate cancer. And you can learn all about it by going to pcf.org or homerunchallenge.org. And the other thing we know is we know a lot about nutrition today that we didn't know then, and how it affects your body and how it affects the growth rate of cancer.
You know, we know it hits close to home with the Arizona Diamondbacks with President CEO Derek Hall, a cancer survivor, as well as Ken Kendrick, the owner. I know you and I were just talking about that a little bit off camera, but 1 in 7 men are to be diagnosed with prostate cancer. And so, you know, as research gets better, what was your call to action, though, when you were diagnosed, for you to be able to founder, I should say, of the Prostate Cancer Foundation? What called you to action?
Well, I've been funding cancer research, knew a lot about breast cancer, melanoma, glioblastomas, etc., but didn't know anything about prostate cancer. And when they told me I had 12 to 18 months to live, it was definitely a wake-up call. And whether it's myself or Joe Torre or Dusty Baker or Frank Robinson and many other people in baseball today, we are living examples that you can live a normal, healthy, active life if you've had prostate cancer.
Finally, how close do you think you are to a cure? I know that, again, medical research you're very involved in that. Do you think that it's close?
I think we are very close. The cost of sequencing your genome, and you have a leading center there in Phoenix called TGen, has gone from $1 billion to $1,000. And so we now know that there's 28 types of prostate cancer. And so we're going to treat you for your form of prostate cancer. And the other thing we know today is there might be 5 or 6 types of prostate cancer that never leave your prostate. You don't need to have any treatment. And then there's another 5 or 6 that might look benign, but they're very aggressive, very aggressive. And so I think we're 5 years out, but the National Cancer Institute had predicted that 150,000 men were going to die this year from prostate cancer. We're going to have about 27,000, way too much, but that's 80% down. And so I think what we see is a continual drop to where this becomes a chronic disease. And Major League Baseball, the fabulous Diamondbacks, with Goldschmidt hitting home runs here, what more can we count for? And I think one of the things, every person can do something themselves by studying nutrition. If you feel you need a hamburger, what we know is if you cook on a lower flame, 325 instead of 550, you cut the carcinogens in half. So there's so many things we know today that can reduce the growth rate of prostate cancer. You can learn all about them at pcf.org or homerunchallenge.org.
Mike, well, the information is incredible. The fundraising is great. I wish you all the best. And we love home runs, but especially this week.
Well, I'm the happiest person to be in the ballpark. And I remember that when the stadium opened there in Arizona, that fantastic stadium. It has a removable roof. And I remember when we came out there and Arizona was playing St. Louis, and the place was full during batting practice to see Mark McGwire. You know, he hit the balls out there, but I was there watching the team when you won the World Series, bringing the World Series championship to Arizona, and we look forward to you doing it again. And I saw the world's best manager, Tony La Russa, out here on the field today as an advisor of Arizona. And so, and I assure you, we're here in the Los Angeles area. I assure you the Dodgers couldn't have been happier to see the Diamondbacks sweep the Dodgers.
Mike, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it, and keep up the great work.
Sweep the Giants, that was.
Right. All right, Mike, we thank Mike for his time. And again, Home Run Challenge.
Thank you, and this program is so important. Remember, go get checked for prostate cancer.
Great advice. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
Thanks very much. Here's Daniel Robertson now. Robbie Ray battled through a 13-pitch at bat against the rookie catcher Carlos Perez, and then a terrific play by Flip Pennington in left field as Kyle Kubica line one right at Penny, who's 2 for 2 so far.
Yeah, first one a little easier than the second one, but Penny played it perfectly.
And now here's Daniel Robertson, the left fielder for the Angels. By the way, there is news from the clubhouse on Ender Inciarte. And the diagnosis right now for Ender is a strained right hamstring. He is day-to-day. A right hamstring strain for Ender Inciarte. Day-to-day is what they're telling us now. Of course, we'll have more after the ball game on the Diamondback Live postgame show. Robertson lifts this one up in the air. Cliff Pennington, who else? Penny a perfect 3 for 3. And Robbie Ray has retired all 9 Angels he has faced. Cliff Pennington, this was the first out in the top of the third. Coming right at you. It's 3-0 D-backs. Filling in for the injured Ender Inciarte, who's got a right hamstring strain and had to leave the game with a DH in play here and a 3-man bench. Chip Hale had to scramble. And Cliff Pennington has answered the call, and he's so far perfect 3 for 3 in left field. Yasmani Tomas leads off the 4th against Jared Weaver. He popped out his first time up. Pops it up again here. Perez in foul ground. 1 away.
Number 19,
Jake Lamb.
Hey fans, when the D-backs win, you win at Papa John's. The day after every Diamondbacks win, you get 50% off your regular menu price online order at Papa John's. Enter promo code DBACKS50 at papajohns.com. Boy, and Ender listed as day-to-day, but the timing couldn't be worse with 3 more interleague games after tonight. We know the Diamondbacks have been trying to get back to 12 pitchers instead of carrying 13, and with the long outings they've gotten from their starters over the last 3 nights plus tonight, yeah, you wonder if maybe it's time to cut a pitcher in that bullpen and get another position player up here that can play left field.
Well, I'm wondering if this is maybe the opportunity for Peter O'Brien, who's starting in left field tonight at Reno. That's a possibility. Danny Dorn, of course, would be another one. Lamb, Ibar, it's off the glove. And Jake's aboard. That's the 3rd Diamondback hit.
Nice effort by Ibar. Just couldn't get up quite high enough. Jake Lamb scalds another line drive. Boys, he's been swinging it good the last couple games, in and out of the glove of Ibar. That'll go as an infield single for Jake Lamb.
And a 1-out base runner for Chris Owings, who struck out his first time. Now they're going to check Weaver's finger, maybe? Looks like a possible blister situation here. He's bleeding. His pitching hand is bleeding out there. He's got a cut.
Weaver has really had an up and down year. On May 3rd, he was 0 for 4. And his ERA was over 6. And then pitched against the Astros here in Anaheim, had a shutout for his first win this season. And that seemed to turn it around for him. And a very good 5-start stretch in May, went 4-0, the ERA under 2, but he's back on the down cycle now. He's lost both starts this month. He trails here 3-0. And maybe, Bob, all those added breaking balls and off-speed pitches he's throwing is creating an issue.
Yeah, could be. I mean, some guys, when they throw their breaking pitch, they get their fingernails involved, and he might have actually cut his own hand trying to throw a pitch. Didn't really see anything unusual on that particular delivery. It may have been there for a while, and that last delivery just opened it up a little bit. Of course, as a pitcher, you're not allowed to wear any kind of Band-Aid or tape or anything on your hands or fingers. What they will do a lot of times, and certainly we don't recommend this for you at home, they put super glue on it just to close the wound and allow him to continue to compete out there and then take care of it after the ball game.
Well, over the last 7 seasons, he has been the classic top of the rotation workhorse. Watch his thumb after Yasmani Tomas popped up for the first out here in the inning.
Yep.
It apparently happened right there, and that's a good look right there. Great job by our crew here. I mean, last 7 seasons, Weaver has averaged 31 starts a year. He's been a 20-game winner, won 18 games twice, including last season, but it's really slowed down this year. Looks like he's good to at least continue at this point. By the way, we should mention, I know you like the Coyotes first and foremost. You're a season ticket holder and a proud one, but you've also got a soft spot for the Blackhawks, and they have just won Lord Stanley's Cup.
Man, the Blackhawks are the San Francisco Giants of the NHL.
And back safely.
Yeah, congratulations to the Blackhawks and their fans. A quick snap throw down there that time by Carlos Perez behind the plate.
They like him a lot. He's a rookie catcher who's come up and has really done a good job. 1-0 to Chris Owings.
Let's take a look at our Valley Honda keys to the game while Weaver's throwing over to first base in pickoff attempts. We've talked about it all night. Sit soft. Weaver doesn't overpower anybody, throws more off-speed pitches than fastballs, so look for the off-speed pitches. And snow cones for everyone. Short bench in a series in an American League ballpark. Everybody's going to have to contribute in this 2-game series here, as well as the 2 games back in Arizona.
And with the DH, Chip Hale says that look forward to it because everybody can play. You can have all 3 outfielders in Peralta, Pollock, and Inciarte before Ender got hurt, and still have Lamb, Goldie, and Tomas in the lineup all at the same time. Don't often get the chance to do that. There goes Jake Lamb. Owings swings through. Perez's throw is not in time. Jake Lamb has his 2nd stolen base of the year. Dave McKay, we talked about this at the top of the ball game. He's a tough guy to run on, but they apparently found something.
Throw was on the wrong side of the bag, giving Jake an easy sliding lane to make it safely into second base. Nice quick delivery once again by Carlos Perez behind the plate. I'm surprised he didn't make contact with CO right there. Chris was kind of hanging out over the inside part of the plate. I've talked about it before. On a stolen base attempt, if you make contact with the batter and throw the ball to second base, that runner will be called out for batter interference.
Hard to third. Kubitsa's there, though. Boy, CO really got a hold of that one down the third baseline, but Kubitsa, the rookie, was right in place. So a hang with him out number 2, and here's Wellington Castillo. Castillo walked and scored his first time up, came in on the Goldie homer. It's tough to run on Weaver, as we said. It's also tough to run on Perez. He had, before that stolen base, thrown out 8 of 19 would-be base stealers this year. So this whole battery is tough to run on.
Yeah, had similar numbers throughout his minor league career, did Perez behind the plate. Yeah, Jose Mota, fine Spanish announcer for the Angels right next door, compared him to a young Carlos Ruiz. He said he handles the staff well, he receives well, he throws really well. That's a high comparison right there.
And there has been something of a personal catcher situation with Perez and Weaver. They have really worked well together. Chris Iannetta is the other catcher here. He is in a horrific slump offensively. Really just has not been able to get it going. And Carlos Perez has done a nice job sliding into that spot. He's playing much more often these days. A roller to shortstop, right to Ibar. We go to the bottom of the fourth. Paul Goldschmidt's 3-run homer, the only scoring so far. Diamondbacks lead it 3-0.
Ray being caught today for the first time by Wellington Castillo. Now Castillo getting on the same page with all the D-backs pitchers. Yesterday he certainly was with Ruby De La Rosa. De La Rosa was instructed not to shake him off. He only did once, and that was something of a pump fake just to get them off the breaking ball. And Castillo said that Ruby De La Rosa has the kind of stuff that he should be going 7 innings every time out. 5 innings, not acceptable. He knows Ruby from growing up in the same region in the Dominican Republic. He's very happy to be able to work with such a talented pitcher, guys.
And Robbie Ray out there tonight with Castillo. Behind the plate, Eric Ibar, who was thrown out trying to bunt for a base hit, leads off the fourth. Ray so far 9 up, 9 down. He has 2 strikeouts.
Well, you think of the reinforcements that have come up from AAA this season and forced into action in the rotation. Vidal Nuno, Robbie Ray, and Alan Webster combined 37 2/3 innings pitched. They've combined for an ERA of 1.91 before the ball game tonight.
And that's why when you talk about depth, and fans have to remember this, it's not just depth on the big league roster, it's organizational depth. Who's down there? Who can you call up in a pinch? 1-2 on the leadoff man, Ibar. And Robbie Ray in 3 starts as a Diamondback has given up only 3 runs. And one big key for him will always be walks. It has been a problem at times for him in the minors, and he walked 4 in his start at Dodger Stadium last Tuesday. 2-2 pitch.
And 1 win, 1 loss, 1 no decision for Robbie, but really has pitched well enough to win all 3 of those ball games.
I got him at 4 3-2 counts now. It's a good example. The pitch count climbing up there. Of course, he had a 13 pitch at bat against Perez, the catcher, to lead off the third. That ran the pitch count up a bit. And another 3-2. And this one to Ibar is skied near the Diamondback dugout, but it's in the seats. And this has been one of the concerns with Robbie Ray in his development, the idea that he might not have a put-away pitch. And we've seen this from time to time, especially in that start 2 starts ago against the Mets. when he's got guys, in 2-strike counts, he has had problems putting them away.
Yeah, 11 foul balls with 2 strikes tonight. 7 of those came in that Carlos Perez at bat.
Try it one more time on 3-2. There's another foul ball. And Robbie said after that start against the Mets, if you add up all the foul balls that he threw, it was 30-something foul ball. That's 2 innings of pitching.
2 more innings, yeah.
So instead of going 5 or 6, you're going 7 or 8. So he's got to find a way to put these guys away when he gets them in 2-strike counts. Fly ball center field. A.J. Pollock drifting over toward right center. He's got it. And Robbie Ray has retired the first 10 Angels he's faced tonight. Here comes Trout, and Pujols is behind him.
Now, Mike Trout, we mentioned tremendous power Friday. He hit one to dead center field here against the A's with that lightning quick swing. Doing Jurassic Park in center field. You were out there today, huh?
I had to go see it. I've never been to this ballpark before. So you see that little door there by the sign. You can go down on the field level, and there's a door that swings open. Then you walk down underneath the green sort of awning that's out there in the rocks. That's where the center field camera is. And there's a door at the bottom. You go through the door, and then you climb straight up the ladder like a submarine. And it gets you out underneath that awning, which is where our camera crew has its position out there. And then you can walk up. There's another deck behind it, and you can look over the majestic scenery of the fake rocks and the pretend waterfall. It's breathtaking. Bambi was leaping, prancing around out there. Really able to get back in touch with nature. Right behind us. Is that the 5 or the 10, the highway? I forget which one it is. I don't know. 3-0 to Trout. Ball 4. It's a 3-2 on Ibar, then a walk Trout.
Take a look at our T-Mobile game-changing player. The comparison between Mickey Mantle and Mike Trout through their first 500 major league games. Now, obviously, the Mick's career was ended much shorter than it should have been. A lot of knee injuries. Mike Trout, up to this point of his career, has been relatively healthy, but the numbers compare very favorably.
So the first Angels base runner is on board ahead of Albert Pujols, who flying out to center his first time up. There's a strike, 0-1. Trout this year 8-for-11 in his stolen base attempts. Speaking of health, it's been critical for this man at the age of 35. Chip Hale was the Oakland bench coach the last few years. He's seen a lot of Albert Pujols at Anaheim. And Chip said today that Pujols has basically been playing on one leg for much of his time as an Angel, but now he is healthy and 100%, and the numbers would back that up. Doing a lot of damage, says Chip Hale. 10 homers in his last 16 games.
Well, Albert Pujols, the best I've ever seen at being able to keep pitches inside fair down the third baseline. A lot of right-handed hitters get a fastball in the inner third of the plate, and they'll hook it down that left field line, and it'll go into foul territory. Pujols has that ability to keep his hands inside the ball and keep pitches off the plate inside fair down the left field line.
Reaches out and hits a slow roller to second. And the Diamondbacks turn a beautiful double play. Chris Owings gets it started, and Nick Ahmed turns it. They roll the 4-6-3. Mike Scioscia has his staff on the phone. Hit very slowly to second base. And they'll check the video. Let's check ours.
Yeah, a little bit of a risky play by CO right here with that backhanded flip. The bare hand grab by Nick Ahmed, and then the throw on to first.
And the Angels will challenge the out call at first. So it's another replay review brought to you by Mix One.
That's about as quickly as you can get it done, considering how slowly that ball was hit. The backhanded shovel toss on to Nick Ahmed, who barehanded it to throw to first. He did everything they could to possibly turn that double play.
if the call will stand, it will end the 4th inning. And save some pitches for Robbie Ray. Angels, despite Trout and Pujols, have been looking for offense. Here's another look. They've lost 7 of their last 11 games, and they need every inch they can get here. Can't tell anything from that angle. We'll see if they have a definitive look in New York. Here's a better look. Remember, it's an out when the ball is in the back of the first baseman's mitts. And first base umpire Doug Eddings made the out call. Here's a really good look.
Yeah, I think he's safe.
You're right. Great job by our crew here. That's as good an angle as you could hope for. D-backs facing the Angels for the first time since 2012. Anaheim back then won 2 out of 3 here. A 4-game home and home. 2 at Angel Stadium and 2 at Chase Field Wednesday and Thursday. Here's the best look that we have one more time. Robbie Ray will start throwing some warm-up pitches. New York taking a long time to look at this. Remember, the umpires on the field, when they put the headsets on, they are talking to other umpires. And that was very important when replay and review was collectively bargained. The umpires wanted to make sure that when they put on a headset in these situations, they were speaking to one of their colleagues. And so you now rotate through Major League Baseball Advanced Media Headquarters just like you would rotate through the stadium doing a game. You might work one series looking at TV screens.
Yeah, so you could be on the field one day missing calls and then be in the replay booth the next day missing calls.
We've solved the problem, haven't we? Well, you got an up close and more personal look. How about that? Just a casual conversation at first in the meantime between those two guys.
Yeah.
I'd like to eavesdrop on that one.
A couple of the best right-handed hitters in the game, maybe in the history of the game when all is said and done.
You betcha.
I mean, I always thought that Edgar Martinez was the best right-handed hitter I ever saw during the course of my playing and coaching and managing and broadcasting career. But Albert Pujols with more power, more threatening hitter at the plate than Edgar Martinez, and Goldie may be better than both of them when all is said and done.
He is out at first. And that double play will end the 4th inning. So Mike Scioscia loses his challenge. The call stands, which means there was not enough clear and convincing evidence to overturn the call, which explains why they took so long to look. So we are through 4, and it's still 3-0 Diamondbacks. Markley and Jody Jackson with you. Paul Goldschmidt, a 3-run homer, is 18th of the year, all the scoring in the ball game so far. As Nick Ahmed leads off the 5th against Jared Weaver, and there's a strike. Just 3 hits in the ball game, all of them by the Diamondbacks. Goldie has a double and a homer. Jake Lamb has a single. So far, Robbie Ray through 4 has allowed only 1 base runner, a walk to Mike Trout. He has 2 strikeouts. And if you're just joining us, Ender Inciarte had to leave the game after his at bat to lead off the ball game. A strained right hamstring running up the first baseline. Ender Inciarte right now listed as day-to-day. And Cliff Pennington had to jump off the bench and play left field.
You know, that slowly hit ball that ended up being a double play. Watch Mike Trout at first. Robbie Ray picked up his leg, and Trout was leaning back toward first base. Maybe slowed him up just a half of a step, kept him from getting on Nick Ahmed, and allowed the Diamondbacks to go ahead and turn that double play.
2 balls and a strike to Ahmed. Yeah, the Angels do not have a stolen base against a left-hand pitcher this season.
You know, they don't run much, period. Mike Trout, a guy that certainly can steal a base, and Eric Ibar will steal the occasional base. Cole Calhoun, a guy with 4 this season, but they just don't run much. 22 stolen bases. They've been caught 19 times.
American League Baseball.
Yep.
2-2 pitch. A little flare out to left center, and Trout can't quite get there. It drops in. Ahmed on the run, hustling into second, and he's in there with his 5th double. Well, it's amazing how you almost expect Mike Trout to make those plays. And he almost did.
Yeah, good effort. Made a diving attempt, played it on a short hop, and knocked it behind him, where Daniel Robertson also had to dive to keep that ball from rolling out toward the warning track. Watch it, both outfielders diving. And they're able to hold Nick Ahmed to a double on that play. Just came up short on the initial dive, and Robertson kept it from rolling out to the warning track with his dive.
So here's the leadoff man and the new left fielder with Ahmed at second. It's Cliff Pennington, gets a bunt down. Perez is on it in front of the plate, and they move Ahmed along, 1 away. Good bunt there by Cliff.
Center fielder, number 11, A.J.
Brings up A.J. Pollock. By the way, I just realized this. How crazy is this? It's Cliff Pennington's birthday today.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Happy birthday. Now go play left field.
And he's glad to do it.
You bet he is. He looks like he's having a ball. He's 31 today. AJ chases one upstairs for strike 1. Let's update our review totals. Brought to you by Mix One. Throw down to third. Kicks off of Ahmed, and here he comes and rolls into left, and this will make it 4-0 Diamondbacks. The throw from Perez, it looks like, either hit Ahmed or went off Kubica down there. Either way, it's 4-0 D-backs as Ahmed scores.
I think that one should be on Kubica down there at third base. Just missed that throw. I believe they gave it to Perez. I have to check that one again. That looked like the third baseman just missed that throw to me.
Broken bat right to Ibar. And they have changed the call now. That is E5. The error on rookie third baseman Kyle Kubica allows Ahmed to score. So E5, and it's 4-0 Diamondbacks. 2 outs, base is empty now for Goldie, who doubled in the first and hit a 3-run homer in the third. One more look at the play at third. Yeah, he just whiffed on it.
Yeah, just missed the ball in his attempt to get the tag over there quickly enough to try to get Nick Ahmed. This is definitely on the third baseman here. Off his glove into left field.
Great shot of it right there. It looked like it might have hit Ahmed in the foot or the leg, but Kubica just missed it.
And it rolled into left field, and Ahmed came on in. 1-1 to Goldie. This was Paul Goldschmidt to dead center field in the third inning with 2 outs after Weaver had walked Castillo and Pollock. A 3-run homer is 18th of the year. So right now, Goldie has 13 hits in his last 22 at bats.
You get the feeling Jared Weaver just really doesn't want to throw anything over the plate to Paul Goldschmidt for the rest of his life.
Might not see anything over the plate, at least for the rest of this series. 3-2 pitch. Called strike 3. Bill Miller rings him up, and that's 4 strikeouts for Weaver. But the Diamondbacks add a run. They lead it 4-0. Field Wednesday and Thursday for this D-backs Angels series. Thursday's game, a 12:40 day game matinee, one of the many throwback Thursdays, brought to you by Chase. And you can get a throwback t-shirt to wear to the ball game when you buy Thursday's tickets using your Chase credit or debit card. For details, visit dbacks.com/throwback. David Freese leads off the Angels' 5th against Robbie Ray. Freese lined out to center field his first time. D-back staff very happy with Robbie Ray so far. Chip Hale said today the coaches are seeing the improvement that they needed to see. And he pointed out, look, you don't stop developing when you get to the big leagues, especially if you're 23. You got to keep going and progress. And he said Robbie Ray's a classic case in that point. He has looked terrific.
Well, given the struggles in the starting rotation, especially in the first month or so of the season, you'd think anybody that gets an opportunity to start a ball game for the Diamondbacks here would recognize what an opportunity it is. You've got a chance to win a job. And Robbie Ray has done nothing to make the Diamondbacks brass think he can't pitch at this level.
3-1. Hard to third, but right to Lamb.
Goldie got called out on a full count changeup here, just off the plate, and then faded right back to that outside corner. Just enough late movement to bring it back and get the called strike from Bill Miller behind the plate.
Cole Calhoun now. He flied out his first time up. Robbie, of course, tagged with his first Diamondback loss last week against the Dodgers, but deserved a better fate. It was a 3-1 LA win. There's the strike. Not a whole lot of run support. Gave up 2 runs, only 4 hits in 6 2/3 innings. The only negative of the 4 bases on balls after he'd walked just 1 batter over his first 2 big league starts with the Diamondbacks. And Detroit newspapers reported when the trade with the Diamondbacks was made in December that Arizona was offered its pick of all the Tigers close to big league ready young starting pitchers, and the Diamondbacks chose Robbie Ray. And at that time, Detroit GM Dave Dombrowski admitted that Robbie Ray had the most upside of any pitcher they had in that group. And that choice by the Diamondbacks front office has looked to be a steal so far. All kinds of potential here, with a hard-throwing 23-year-old lefty that they will have under contractual control until at least 2021. An easy fly ball to center for Pollock. 2 down.
Second baseman, number 12,
of course, Robbie has pitched in the American League before, briefly, coming over from the Tigers. Last year, his first experience in the major leagues as a 22-year-old, just 9 games with Detroit, made 6 starts, but did not face the Angels. Johnny Giavotella, the second baseman, flying out his first time up. That's in the seats. Robbie admitted when he first got a taste of the big leagues last year with the Tigers, he was a little too amped up. He was getting gassed early in ball games. The adrenaline was pumping at 110% all the time, and he would wear out by the 4th, 5th inning. And he's learned to pace himself. That's been a key for him. And the guy that taught him to do that, he said, was Max Scherzer, who used to be a Tiger. You got to learn how to control that adrenaline. And he would talk with Scherzer a lot about that, he said. And Scherzer told him, look, it needs to be a relaxed effort out there, a controlled effort. 100% sure, but you also have to relax at the same time and control that adrenaline. And Robbie said that was the best advice he'd gotten from anybody on pitching here in the big leagues. Called strike 3. He rings up Giavotella, and Robbie Ray has not allowed a hit through 5. Here we go again, Diamondback fans. We are through 5 in Anaheim, and the Diamondbacks have a 4-0 lead. World converge on the Pacific Northwest. Coverage of the 115th U.S. Open Championship live from Chambers Bay Golf Course. Starts at 9 a.m. on Fox Sports 1 and continues in prime time at 5 on your local Fox station, and it all streams live on Fox Sports Go. 6th inning, David Peralta 0 for 2 leads it off against Jared Weaver. Diamondbacks lead the Angels 4-0. First pitch swinging is Peralta. Here's an easy fly ball for Trout in center. One pitch, one out in the sixth. And Robbie Ray is not allowed to hit through 5, which has become a recurrent theme here, Bob.
Haven't we heard that before?
Heard it all weekend.
Well, you know, starting pitchers will tell you that they don't want to be the one to break the chain. And Chase Anderson set the bar pretty high last Friday.
Yeah, Chase opened up that series in San Francisco, and the first base hit he gave up was with 1 out in the 7th inning, a Buster Posey single. And then Alan Webster was terrific Saturday afternoon in San Francisco, the game you did on Big Fox. And here we are again with Robbie Ray. Tomas 0 for 2, DHing tonight. Talked about Jared Weaver and his excellent command. Only 13 walks all season going into the ball game tonight, but he's added bats where he just hasn't come close to throwing a strike. He's walked only 2 so far. He's got 4 strikeouts, but the command hasn't been quite as crisp as we've seen him before.
Made him pay for those 2 base on balls, though. They both came across and scored on Goldie's home run.
Approaching 80 pitches, 3-1 on Tomas. Weaver beaten in his 2 previous starts. He lost at Yankee Stadium June 5th and was tagged for 7 runs, 9 hits in 5 2/3. Gave up 3 homers in that game and lost to Tampa Bay last Wednesday. Tomas drives it out to Robertson in left, and that ball is gone, a home run. Yasmani Tomas, a home run to left field. That's his 3rd, and sometimes you gotta live Tomas. Can I interest you in some tacos, Mr. Bradley?
Absolutely. 5th run of the game. You know what that means, D-backs fans. 3 crunchy beef tacos.
Kicked off the top of that fake grass out there by the bullpens next to the fake rocks and the fake waterfall. And it's 5-zip D-backs.
Tell them Yasmani sent you.
A line drive homer to left field. And his last home run at Dodger Stadium was to left field. So he is really starting to pull the ball a little bit more.
Both on off-speed breaking balls that just kind of fluttered up there on the inside part of the plate. That's the pitch that he will pull with authority to left field, and gets this one just enough to get it over that left field wall.
And we told you at the start of the ball game that only the Twins' Phil Hughes had surrendered more home runs among American League pitchers than Jared Weaver this year. And he's given up 2 so far tonight. Goldie a 3-run shot in the 3rd. Tomas a solo homer here in the 6th as Lamb pops that one up. Shallow left center. Trout is there, 2 down. And the Diamondbacks just swept 3 games at AT&T Park in San Francisco against the defending World Series champs and did not hit a single home run in the entire series. But so far 2 against Weaver. Another fly ball, this one drifting out toward right center field, and there's Mike Trout, who makes all 3 putouts in the inning. But Yasmani Tomas takes it out of here. A line drive to left, his 3rd homer, and it's 5-0 Diamondbacks. sixth in Anaheim. Diamondbacks lead the Angels 5-0. Robbie Ray has not allowed a base hit through 5 innings. He has walked 1, struck out 3. And rookie catcher Carlos Perez leads off the Angels' 6th inning. Remember, the last time Ray faced Perez, it was a 13-pitch at bat that ended with a line drive to left. Caught by new left fielder Cliff Pennington in there for the injured Ender Inciarte, who left the ball game in the 1st inning with a strained right hamstring. Perez making an immediate impression with the Angels. He was called up for his big league debut May 5th and had a pair of hits in that game, including a walk-off home run in his first major league game. Goldie might have room here, and he does. 1 away in the 6th inning. They retire Perez, and that brings up Kyle Kubica, the third baseman. Baseball is in full swing, fans. It's happening all around us, so grab a Pepsi and some friends and get out to a D-backs game and live it. It's for the thrill of the game. Pepsi, live for now, the official soft drink of the Arizona Diamondbacks. 5 in a row sent down by Robbie Ray. Kubica struck out looking his first time up. Pops it up. Short right. Owings and Goldschmidt. It'll be Goldie, and quickly 2 outs in the 6th for Robbie Ray. That helps the old pitch count right there.
Yes, it does.
It's under 80 so far through 5 2/3 hitless innings. Keep in mind, you see that 22 pitches in the 3rd. 13 of those pitches were in 1 at bat. The at bat I just mentioned against the rookie catcher Perez. Dan Robertson. There's a strike. Robertson, this is just his 3rd at bat of the year. Christmas ornaments.
There are. My mic open?
Got 193 shopping days, people.
Yeah. Better get out there quickly.
0-2 on Robertson. Made his Angels debut yesterday, grounded out in his only at bat. Reaches out and drops one into right field, a base hit. First Angels hit with 2 outs in the 6th against Robbie Ray.
Good pitch, outside corner of the plate. It's a better piece of hitting that time by Robertson. Just kind of massaged it out there in shallow right center field for the first knock of the game for the Angels.
Just their second base runner after Trout walked in the 4th. Keep in mind, Robbie Ray tonight has thrown only 3 pitches from the stretch, all to Albert Pujols, following that Trout walk in the 4th inning. Eric Ibar, hard to third, and by a diving Lamb, a base hit. Robertson on the run, he's in at 3rd. And here comes Ibar, and he is out of there at 2nd, trying to stretch it into a double. And how about that play by Cliff Pennington? What a night, and happy birthday, Cliff. The emergency left fielder is having a sensational game out there in left. Cliff Pennington throws out Ibar, trying to stretch it into a double. And that one rolls in there right on the money, and it's still 5-0 D-backs. The game to the birthday boy, Cliff Pennington. How about this throw from left, BB?
Just a smart play by Cliff Pennington. The easy throw would have been to third base where they had no chance, but being a middle infielder, Cliff Pennington knows I got a chance to get the trail runner trying to advance to second base. No hesitation, gets to the ball, comes up throwing to second all the way and put it right on the money.
Wellington Castillo knocks that in the seats foul to lead off the seventh. Cliff Pennington had to come into the ball game to replace Ender Inciarte, who strained his right hamstring on the first play of the game. And Penny, who has played one game as a professional in the outfield, that was 2009 in Sacramento, is out there in left replacing Inciarte as Castillo takes Trout to the track in center for the first out in the seventh.
Last 4 outs recorded in this game by the Angels have been fly balls to Mike Trout in center field, keeping him busy.
He can go get them, as we know. Nick Ahmed doubled and scored his last time up. He's 1 for 2. And batting ninth tonight, of course, with a DH in place. Tomas, the DH tonight, batting fifth. Goldie's at first. Chip Hale says Goldie will DH tomorrow. And Tomas will likely be the first baseman. There's a chance it could be Jake Lamb, but they feel pretty good about the idea of Tomas at first tomorrow night. And all of this Cliff Pennington stuff, by the way, happening on his 31st birthday. So this is going to be a birthday he will not soon forget.
Yeah. Just adding to his value as a super utility player. You know, he's got the catcher's gear. We know he can play anywhere on the infield, and now proving he can play a little outfield as well.
A fly ball to Robertson in left field. A fly ball outs for Weaver in this game as Ahmed takes him back to the track. 2 down. And here is Cliff Pennington. Seven for 17 career on his birthday, including 0 for 1 tonight. He has popped up and had a nice sacrifice bunt his last time. Base hit for Pennington. The birthday roll continues.
Please go buy a lottery ticket. Everything's going Cliff's way tonight. Some nice defensive plays in left field. Put down a beautiful sac bunt back in that 5th inning. And now rolls a 2-out single into center field.
A chance now for A.J. Pollock. A.J. is 0 for 2. He walked and scored in the 3rd. Came in on the Goldie homer. He has struck out and grounded out. And Jared Weaver in danger of dropping his 3rd straight start. Lost to Yankee Stadium June 5th, lost to Tampa Bay last Wednesday, allowed 4 runs on 8 hits, but pitched into the 8th inning of that ball game. He's at 90 pitches right now with 2 outs in the 7th.
This is one of the differences, one of the many differences between the National League and the American League. I'm pretty sure Weaver would have been taken down for a pinch hitter in that bottom half of the 6th inning, giving his pitch count, the fact he's behind in the ball game and has a cut on his thumb. But because you have the DH and the pitcher doesn't have to hit, Mike Scioscia just keeps rolling him out there.
1-1 is in the air, very short left. That drops in for a base hit. Pennington stops at second. And Pollock is on base for the 2nd time tonight. Back-to-back 2-out singles brings up Goldie. And they will start some action in the Angel bullpen. Almost a left-hander. Goldie doubled in the 1st, homered in the 3rd. He struck out looking his last time up. Weaver bounces that one for ball 1. This was Goldie in the 3rd. A 3-run shot, his 18th of the year. That was a 2-out homer. Same deal here, 2 on and 2 outs. Being very careful. And Goldie red hot again. He's hit safely in 6 straight. The last 5 have been multi-hit games. Base hit for Goldschmidt. Here comes Pennington. Here's the throw from Robertson. And it is in time. They got him. Well, both left fielders now showing off their throwing arms. Andy Green gambled and Pennington is out at home. Here's what's next. Brought to you by CenturyLink. We'll see Mike Trout, Albert Pujols, and David Freese in the Angels 7th. Seventh inning at Angel Stadium. Steve Berthew, Bob Brenly, and Jody Jackson with you. Diamondbacks lead the Angels 5-0. Mike Trout leads it off for Anaheim, and there's strike 1 from Robbie Ray. Trout has struck out and walked. He's 0 for 1. So far, just 2 singles against Robbie Ray. He's walked 1. He's got 3 strikeouts. Robbie coming off a 12-pitch 5th and an 8-pitch 6th inning. He has been very efficient here tonight, but behind Trout, 2 balls and a strike. 3-1. Bullpen still busy for the Angels. Weaver has given up 5 runs on 8 hits. Big time Mike Trout swing at that one.
Showcase swing, 3-1 count, figures to get a fastball. He got it right down the middle of the plate. That's actually a much bigger, longer swing than he normally takes.
3-2 pitches roll to the hole. Lamb is there and he throws him out. Boy, Jake Lamb is good down there. Very steady defensively. There's Pujols. Facing these guys back to back, it must send you to therapy.
Well, I imagine a lot of National League pitchers feel the same way about A.J. Pollock and Paul Goldschmidt hitting 2-3 in the lineup.
So far, so good for Robbie against Albert Pujols. He has flied out and hit into a double play, 0 for 2. Pujols got off to a very slow start to the year. He hit only .208 in April with 3 home runs, but he's been launching long balls ever since. 8 home runs in May, already 7 here in June. And tied with his teammate Trout for the American League lead. Pujols has never hit more than 30 in his previous 3 seasons with the Angels, but he's on pace for 40 plus this year.
Our moments in Major League Baseball history brought to you by Geico. April 6, 2001 against Armando Reynoso. Albert Pujols hit his first career home run. He was 7 for 14 in that series at then Bank One Ballpark. Pujols had only played 1 professional season. He started in A ball, quickly moved up to Double-A, then to Triple-A, and the following year he ends up making the ball club out of spring training because of an injury to Bobby Bonilla.
Now at 538 career homers, he's passed the likes of Jimmy Fox and Mickey Mantle into 16th on the all-time list. And Robbie Ray, after going full on Mike Trout 3-2, walks Pujols. Mike Harkey. Second walk issued by Robbie Ray.
And some bodies just starting to move around out there in the Diamondbacks bullpen as Mike Harkey makes his trip to the mound.
David Freese will be the hitter, the DH. He's 0 for 2. Ray tonight will have, remember, thrown only 4 pitches from the stretch. Oliver Perez starts throwing in the Diamondback bullpen. He walked Trout in the 4th. Now Pujols here in the 7th. Both walks were 4 pitches.
And you'd like to think it was just Robbie Ray in both instances being very careful with the dangerous hitter, but if he starts to consistently miss the strike zone for the rest of the guys in this Angels lineup, then you got to be concerned.
We'll see if he can at least get through 7 here. David Freese. Ball 1. Freese 0 for 2 tonight, but he's hit safely in 14 of his last 15. Adding better than 350 since the last week of May. High fly ball, Peralta in the right field corner. 2 down. Brings up Valley native Cole Calhoun, the ASU Sun Devil. He has twice flied out 0 for 2. Diamondback Live post-game show follows our ball game tonight. The latest news on Ender Inciarte, who strained a right hamstring and had to leave the game in the first inning. Pujols, the runner at first, 2 outs, 5-0 Diamondbacks. And Calhoun, as we mentioned earlier, is a guy who does hit lefties. There's really no need to platoon him. And there you can see it almost doesn't make any difference to him. Which is why he's, for the most part, been a leadoff man here with the Angels, but they're very right-hand heavy. They had no left-hand bat to put in the middle of that lineup, so about a month or so ago, they dropped Calhoun into the middle of the order. He's been hitting 4th and 5th. And Ibar's been leading off. Madison Reed, the right-hander, joins Oliver Perez, the left-hander, in the Diamondback bullpen. Angels brought in Matt Joyce, the power-hitting lefty from Tampa Bay, but Joyce has really struggled. And now kind of hanging on by a thread here with the Angels, so they could really use a left-hand bat. Calhoun is pretty much it. 1-2. Good fastball there from Robbie at 95.
You can see why Calhoun hits lefties well. He really hangs in there against fastballs and breaking balls from a left-handed pitcher. Doesn't give an inch. Keeps that front shoulder right in there. That's a big, powerful swing there, fouling that ball straight back.
Robbie just about at 100 pitches. Bullpen is busy for the Diamondbacks. Misses, and it's even 2-2.
tough pitch to take right there. Good fastball, maybe just a little bit off that outside corner.
Calhoun has enough power to hit in this spot. He had 17 home runs last year. 2-2 pitch. Up and in. This is Robbie's third 3-ball count in this inning. They got Trout to ground out on a 3-2 pitch. He walked Pujols on 4 pitches, and
it's just a changeup that got away from Robbie right there.
you run it full on Calhoun, 3-2. Pitch number 100 coming up. There goes Pujols. Calhoun lifts it in the air to left center field. A.J. Pollock is there, and Robbie Ray is through 7 at 100 pitches and a 5-0 lead.
Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you in part by your Valley Honda dealers, where you'll get more standard features for less money. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. And by Mix One, great taste, no face, available at local retailers.
Hey, fans, watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in True HD on over 400 mobile and connected devices with MLB.TV Premium. You'll get real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking widget, and a whole lot more every night on every device. Blackout and other restrictions to apply, so check MLB.TV for all the details. We go to the 8th inning. Diamondbacks lead the Angels 5-0, and out. Crew chief Bill Miller is out there, the home plate umpire, with the new Angel pitcher. It's left-hander Cesar Ramos, and they're going to have to cut off some laces here on the baseball glove.
And we talked about this just the other day. A lot of pitchers try to allow those laces to hang off the fingertips of the glove or the heel of the glove and try to distract the hitter a little bit. Bill Miller will have none of it.
They seem to be policing this stuff a lot more this year.
It kind of goes in cycles. I think back to the days when they used to actually measure outfielders' gloves because they were accusing guys of using gloves that were oversized. The year they decided to call box, that became the trendy call, and Bob Davidson became an icon. It just seems like they pick an obscure rule in the book every year and determine that they're going to enforce it all the time.
David Peralta 0 for 3 leads off the Arizona 8th. 5-0 Diamondbacks. A 3-run homer by Goldie, a solo shot by Tomas. Nick Ahmed also doubled and scored a throwing error, or a fielding error by Kyle Kibitza, the third baseman. And yeah, that location will work for Ramos. Angels have a right-hander throwing now in their bullpen. Diamondbacks bullpen busy as well. This is one of those ballparks with the double-decker bullpens. They're right behind each other, one a little bit higher than the other. 1-1 pitch. That's a good shot. Usually the home team has learned to put their bullpen away from the fans, but here in fan-friendly Anaheim, they're right there. And the visitors are away from the Angels fans. David Hernandez warming up for the Diamondbacks. This is rolled foul to the Diamondback dugout, and it's still 1-2. Jared Weaver tonight went 7 innings, gave up 5 runs, 4 were earned, 8 hits, walked 2 and struck out 4, including the 2 home runs. And he's in danger of losing his 3rd straight start. And the Angels, if they drop this one, will be at 500 on the year, 32-32. Diamondbacks, if they hang on, will be 1 under 500 at 31-32. Peralta strikes out, 1 down.
Ramos, a little unusual for a reliever in that he throws all 4 pitches. He was a starting pitcher coming out of Long Beach State, where he was a dirtbag and a teammate of the guy he's relieving, Jared Weaver. He was actually in the rotation at Long Beach State along with Weaver and Jason Vargas, and roomed with Evan Longoria and Troy Tulowitzki.
They had some players.
Woo.
Holy cow. Tomas. A solo homer to left his last time up, his 3rd of the year. A line drive homer that kicked off the grass out there, just beyond the bullpen.
On a little loopy slider that just stayed over the inside part of the plate, skips it right off the top of the fence and on out of here.
Boy, that's the 3rd time we've seen that lately, the ball go off the top of the fence, this time in the Diamondbacks' favor. This is my first trip, BB, to Angel Stadium. I've never been here before. You kind of see the way it used to be opened up, of course, and the Rams played here back when they had a football team in LA, and then they closed it off. They built those fake rocks and made it nice. What do you think of this ballpark here?
You know, much like Dodger Stadium, it's aged well. I mean, you go into certain areas of the ballpark and you can see that there's a little wear and tear, but for the most part, what the fans experience out here at this ballpark is very nice.
Of course, the Big A, which is now in the parking lot for some reason, used to be back there in left center field. They used to just tower over everything, and now it's out behind the park, out where the cars are. Kind of miss it. They sort of built the fake rocks to look like an A. Kinda.
I
think a hobbit might live in there, but. 2-2 on Yasmani Tomas. Jake Lamb on deck. This is a fair ball. Forbids it down at 3rd, makes a nice play on it. Adrian Johnson signaling fair ball. Here comes Chip Hale.
Yeah, that was a confusing call down there by Adrian Johnson. I thought he was calling foul ball initially. It looked like he extended both of his arms out to the side and then pointed to fair territory.
He signaled foul and fair at the same time. Now, once it gets past the bag, it's his call. There's the foul call. There's the fair call.
Can't be both.
Tomas stopped halfway to 1st, and that's what Chip Hale is arguing here.
It clearly looked like a fair ball. It looked like it went right over the bag, maybe even hit the chalk on the outfield side of the bag at 3rd.
Now all 4 umpires are going to try and have to figure out how to fix this. Tomas has got the bat back in his hand, and he's in the batter's box. Bill Miller, the plate umpire, is the crew chief. He actually signaled foul and fair almost at the same time. And now they call it a foul ball. Here comes Mike Scioscia. He will speak to Bill Miller.
Well, certainly this benefits the Diamondbacks, this call, but I think it's the only call you can make. I mean, Yasmani saw foul, everybody saw foul, and then he pointed to fair territory, so we're going to have a do-over.
You have to make him stick to the original call, and that's apparently what they're going to do. Watch, when he waves both arms, that's foul. Right there, and then he signals fair emphatically. It can't be both, as you said. And so they're going to make him stick with the first one, which was foul, so Tomas will continue the at-bat with a count of 2 balls and 2 strikes. That's something you don't see a lot.
And usually when an umpire works third base, it's the next best thing to a day off.
Well, it worked out for Ramos as he strikes out Tomas.
It does actually kick up a little chalk as that ball bounced right in front of Kubica. Right there, just caught the edge of the line. That makes it a fair ball. But Adrian Johnson clearly signals foul. Both arms coming out to the side. This is not the first time he struggled down at third base. You may remember when Johan Santana was throwing his no-hitter for the Mets, the only no-hitter for the Mets. Adrian Johnson was the third base umpire that called the ball foul for Carlos Beltran.
Yeah, and that was a miss.
Third is supposed to be the easiest place to umpire.
I'm a big Adrian Johnson fan as a broadcaster because he's got a great emphatic strike call when he has the plate, but it was a little too emphatic there at third. So it worked against him that time. 1-1 on Jake Lamb. Shift is on for the Angels. Boy, there's all kinds of room down by Adrian Johnson now at third base and in left field down that line. Lamb gets it up in the air right to Trout in center. And Ramos works an eventful but clean 1-2-3-8. Bottom 8 coming up. Chip Hale's D-backs lead it 5-0.
Is brought to you in part by Card Power from Arizona Federal Credit Union. Now that's the power of us. By Oregano's, your neighborhood pizza joint. By Goodwill, find quirky, current, and crazy cool stuff. And by Bud Light, stay in the game and drink responsibly.
And welcome back, Angel Stadium. David Hernandez on for the 8th for the Diamondbacks. And Chip Hale said, look, with starters going deep all of a sudden into games, we've got a lot of guys in the pen that need to pitch. David Hernandez is in that category. He made his return coming back from Tommy John surgery on June 7th. That is the only time that he's pitched this season. Again, a scoreless inning against the Mets. And so Chip Hale was looking for the right spot. He said we're still looking for soft landings for David, but he certainly expected him to pitch on this road trip before now, guys.
Thank you, Jody. He's in there to face Johnny Giavotella, the Angels' second baseman, to lead off the bottom of the 8th inning. After that, Carlos Perez and Kyle Kubica. 6, 7, and 8 for Anaheim. Giavotella so far 0 for 2.
And when you talk about a soft landing, you're looking at a ball game where there's a comfortable lead or a comfortable deficit, either way you look at it. And facing the bottom of the order. It's exactly what David Hernandez has right here, an opportunity to come in and hopefully get 3 quick outs, get a little work under his belt.
So when you get David Hernandez back, throwing 95 for strikes,
look out.
Bullpen gets a whole lot better. In a hurry. 2-1. Four-game series here, D-backs and Angels. The 4-game home and home. 2 here tonight and tomorrow. 2 at Chase Field Wednesday and Thursday afternoon. So we'll get a long look at these Angels. And it's a leadoff walk for Giavotella.
Everything up for David. Just got to finish his pitches, reach out there a little bit more.
There has to be some of that, right? Don't you have to anticipate some rust?
Yeah, I would think so. And, a little adrenaline, too. David's a competitor like everybody else, and I'm sure he's missed the action and getting an opportunity to come in and pitch in this ball game, maybe overthrowing just a little bit.
Carlos Perez, the catcher.
And that's a good way to get a guy back into the strike zone. If he's missing consistently high with his fastball, make him throw a breaking pitch. Oh, a knee buckling slider that time at 82 miles an hour for a called strike.
A walk to Giavotella gives the Angels a leadoff man on base for the first time tonight. And it's 1-1 on Perez. Double play ball here, hard to Ahmed. Little double clutch by Nick there, but Owings turns it. And quickly 2 down. Don't see Nick do that too often. But he had plenty of time to make the play. It was hit hard right at him.
Yeah, fortunately the ball was hit so hard right at him. He had time to find the handle on that ball. Looked like he went into the glove initially, didn't have a real good grip, so he re-gripped. Fires onto CO, and with the catcher running out of that right-handed batter's box, plenty of time to turn.
Second double play turned by the Diamondbacks tonight. Remember, they had 5 yesterday in San Francisco, including the game ender. And here's Kyle Kubica, the third baseman. Kubica 3 for 15 with 7 strikeouts to begin his major league career. This is his first stint in the big leagues. Made his major league debut Wednesday at Tampa Bay and went 2 for 3. And was very briefly a teammate of Paul Goldschmidt at Texas State. A 3rd round pick out of that program by the Braves 4 years ago. Kubica played just under 60 games with the Angels AAA team in Salt Lake this year. Hit .287 with 3 homers. Lines it over the glove of Ahmed and into left center field. Kubica will stop at first with a 2-out single. Hey fans, if you or someone you know would love to be calling the game, and they're between the ages of 10 and 14, then Come on out Sunday to Chase Field for the Fox Sports Arizona Sanderson Ford Kidcaster audition from 11:30 to 1:30 at the Sandlot near Baxter's Den during the Diamondbacks and Padres game. Chip Hale out to the mound now.
The left-handed pinch hitter Joyce announced. I think Chip's going to go to his own lefty in the bullpen here, play matchups.
Pitching change in the 8th inning. Back in a moment. That was the Cox Gig Life high-speed highlights. All kinds of minutia and machinations here in Anaheim with 2 outs in the 8th inning. Dan Robertson was the scheduled hitter, the 9th place hitter in the Angels order. Matt Joyce, the left-hand hitter, was announced as the pinch hitter, so Chip Hale went to his bullpen, brought in his lefty, Oliver Perez. And now Mike Scioscia will counter with the right-hand hitting Chris Iannetta. So it was going to be Robertson, then it was Joyce, and finally he settles on Iannetta.
Well, even before he settled on Iannetta, he had Featherston, a utility infielder in the on-deck circle, a right-handed bat, but decided to call him back in favor of Iannetta.
So it's Perez and Iannetta with Kubica the runner at first and 2 down. Iannetta really struggling at the plate this year. He's at $160 with 3 homers and is 2 for his last 24 at the plate with 12 strikeouts. There's a strike 0-1. Iannetta started off the season painfully slow. He opened the year by going 6 for 67. And his batting average going into the middle of May started with a 0. And it hasn't gotten a whole lot better. Ollie jumps ahead 0-2. And in the meantime, Carlos Perez, who they seem to like a lot, the rookie catcher, is taken over the job. Angels traded their other catcher from last year, Hank Conger. And Mike Scioscia said not too long ago, if you want to define pressing, you point to Chris Iannetta right now. He is really gripping up there.
Just squeezing the sawdust out of the handle of that bat.
1-2. High chopper. Here comes Jake Lamb. Throws it high over the head of Goldie and in the seats. Jake, it was hit very high up in the air, and it came down right on top of Lamb, who had to hurry there. The Angels will have runners at second and third with 2 outs.
He got to it in good shape. Iannetta doesn't run particularly well. He had a little bit of time there. Just looked like he didn't have a great grip on that baseball as he air mails it over Goldie.
Well, that should have got Ali Perez out of the inning. Instead, it's second and third for the leadoff man, Eric Ibar. Kubica at third and Iannetta at second. Ibar singled his last time up. He's 1 for 3.
First at bat in the ball game for the Angels with runners in scoring position.
Robbie Ray was terrific tonight. 7 scoreless innings. Gave up only 2 hits, walked 2, and had 3 strikeouts. They're scrambling to get a pinch runner in the ball game. And Featherston is going to come in here. Taylor Featherston. They couldn't find him. He came in running out of the tunnel there, and then was trying to find his helmet. And he'll go in a pinch run after the first pitch to Ibar. So Taylor Featherston runs for Iannetta at second. Mike Scioscia's got to love that.
He technically burned 4 players in one spot in the batting order. Pinch hit for Daniel Robertson with Joyce, who was taken down for Iannetta, the pinch hitter, who is now taken down for Featherston, the pinch runner, trailing 5-0.
Well, these American League managers don't get to do much.
I guess, yeah.
Making up for lost time. 2-0. Now this is a potential doomsday scenario, because don't forget, you'll have the bases loaded if he loses Ibar, and Trout the hitter with Pujols behind him. The 3-0 pitch. That's in there. Ibar just 1 hit in his last 20 at-bats. That's in there for a strike, and it's full 3-2.
Good pitch, and actually a good take by Ibar that time. Trailing by 5 runs in the ball game. Even if he hits a home run, it's still a 2-run deficit. You need more base runners to get in front of the guys in the on-deck circle and in that dugout.
Ibar is switch hitter, bats as most switch hitters do from the left-hand side most often, but he's over 300 as a righty this year. Three balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Ball 4. The bases are loaded for Mike Trout. McHale. He's had Addison Reed warming, and he wants the right-hander. Well, things are getting awfully interesting here in Anaheim. Back after this. Bobby Ray was terrific. 7 innings of 2-hit ball. He walked 2, had 3 strikeouts. Paul Goldschmidt a 3-run homer in the 3rd. Yasmani Tomas a solo shot in the 6th. It's 5-0 with 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th. But the Angels have the bases loaded with 2 down for Mike Trout. And the new pitcher for the Diamondbacks is the right-hander Addison Reed. Bases full of Angels. Kubica is the runner at 3rd. Featherston at 2nd. Ibar at 1st. Trout is 0 for 2. He walked in the 4th. He has homered 7 times in his last 14 games. Castillo wants to talk it over.
Only one previous matchup between these two, and it resulted in a Mike Trout strikeout.
Trout has been a little more aggressive at the plate this year. The walk rate is down a bit. Mike Scioscia says that's because he's been going after more first pitch fastballs and swinging earlier in the count, so be careful here. He looks at strike 1.
Really overthrew a slider at 88 that time. Didn't take any break, but stayed right in the strike zone.
Caught the inner half. He's going to say, watch out for that slider, and he throws it in the dirt. Kubica scores, and it's 5-1. Featherston in at 3rd, Ibar at 2nd. Trying to throw something down and away to get Trout to chase, and he threw it away.
And once again, Wellington Castillo tried to get the glove and the bare hand in front of the ball, but didn't shift his entire body over there, so got by him all the way to the backstop.
1-2. Drives it to left center. And it's off the wall. Featherston scores. Ibar scores. Trout will stop at 2nd. And the Angels will have the tying run at the plate with 2 outs in the person of Albert Pujols. Down and in.
That quick abbreviated swing from Mike Trout. That's when he's at his best. Gets it over the head of Cliff Pennington and hit that hard surface right at the bottom of the fence and ricocheted back toward the infield. Fortunately, A.J. Pollock, hustling over from center field, was back in the play up.
Brad Ziegler has started throwing in the Diamondback bullpen. Bill Miller out to the mound to break this up. Well, it's been a great showcase here, as we expected will be throughout this 4-game series between some of the best players in the game. Paul Goldschmidt, 3 hits tonight, a triple shy of the cycle, a 3-run homer. Mike Trout, a big 2-run double in the 8th inning. And here's Pujols. First base is open. Tying run at the plate, 2 down. He'll pitch to Pujols. 0-1.
Now, conventional baseball wisdom, you don't walk the tying or potential go-ahead run intentionally. But that doesn't take into consideration that Albert Pujols is the hitter. I'd have to take my chances with David Freese in this particular situation.
Yeah, Pujols is an unconventional hitter, certainly. And Addison Reed, just like he was against Mike Trout, is ahead 0-2. Freese is on deck. Pujols 10 homers in his last 16 games, but hitting under .220 with 2 outs and runners in scoring position this year. The Diamondbacks have the shift on. 3 infielders on the left-hand side. Goldie all by himself halfway between first and second. 0-2 to Pujols. Fly ball center field. A.J. Pollock backing up at the track at the wall, and he runs it down. And Addison Reed exhales. But the Angels put up a 3 spot. And as we go to the 9th, the Diamondbacks lead at 5-3.
Father's Day, the D-backs will take on the San Diego Padres on June 21st at 1:10. The first 10,000 dads will get a D-backs dad t-shirt courtesy of Audi. Get your Father's Day tickets now at dbacks.com.
Whole bunch of changes here for the Angels as we go to the 9th inning. The right-hander Fernando Salas is on the mound. And once again, we have, it's been one of those nights, we have infielders playing the outfield. Taylor Featherston will take over at third base for Kyle Kubica. And Kubica, who's the third baseman, is now playing left. He has played some left field in the minors, only 2 games in fact. Once in 2011 and once last year, which is twice as much experience as Cliff Pennington.
He's a veteran outfielder compared to Penny.
But he has, in those 2 games in left field, Kyle Kubica never had a fielding chance.
Well, let's hit some out there and see what happens.
So here's Chris Owings to lead off the 9th. The 0-1 is in the seats, and it's 0-2. COO for 3, struck out back in the second against Jared Weaver. Salas pitched on Friday against the A's, gave up 2 runs, 2 hits, and was charged with a blown save. Sure enough, first one out there is going to drop over his head as Chris Owings drives it deep to the gap in left center field, and CO is in there with his 9th double. Had a big 2-run double at dead center yesterday in San Francisco. This time a double to left center field to lead off the Diamondback ninth.
Yeah, something up there belt high for CO, and he tagged it to left center field. There's Kubica, just moved out there from third base, has to run it down all the way to the gap in left center field. Lead off double.
Starting to come around for Chris Owings. It's been a long time since he had an extra base hit, but he's got doubles in back-to-back games now. Wellington Castillo walked and scored in the third. He's 0 for 2. Pujols cheating in a bit on the grass at first. Castillo swings away and hits a pop-up to center. Mike Trout. Owings bluffs, and Trout shows off that arm, which has been better and better lately. Hey fans, Thursday, MLB returns to Fox Sports 1 with an interleague matchup as the Brewers take on the AL Central leading Royals. Coverage starts at 5 Pacific, only on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. One out for Nick Ahmed. Nick doubled and scored in the 5th. He's 1 for 3. Good news for the Diamondbacks in the Angels' 9th. They've already cleared Trout and Pujols' spot, so it'll be Freese, Calhoun, and Giavitello 4, 5, and 6 in the Angel 9th.
CO is the third Diamondbacks leadoff hitter in an inning to reach base. The first two guys that did so scored. Wellington Castillo walked and scored in the third. Nick Ahmed doubled and scored in the 5th.
0-2. Diamondbacks can hang on here. They'll hand the Angels their 8th loss in 12 games, and Anaheim will drop to 500 on the year. Diamondbacks will move up to within 1 of 500, and Brad Ziegler will get the 9th. It's been an up and down year for Mike Scioscia's ball club. Near the D-back dugout, Pujols gives it a look. Bounces off the roof. Game 2 of this 4-game set tomorrow night. 7:05 start. Jeremy Hellickson and Garrett Richards. Little flare out to Kubica. Drops in front. They'll stop Chris Owings at third. And the Diamondbacks have runners on the corners with 1 out for Cliff Pennington.
Two-hit night for Nick Ahmed. Just a little floater out there into shallow left field. Kubica was playing very shallow, but played it cautiously on a hop. Got it back into the cutoff man. Diamondbacks have him on the corners for Cliff Pennington.
Owings at third and Ahmed at first. The birthday boy, Cliff Pennington, 31 today, and he's never had a birthday quite like this one. Ender Inciarte, the starting left fielder, left the ball game immediately after straining his right hamstring, trying to beat out an infield single. And to leave the game and with the DH here. And Chip Hale having a thin bench. It was Cliff Pennington who answered the call as the emergency left fielder. Here's the Ender Inciarte play. Again, a strained right hamstring. He's day to day. That's how he started the game tonight. So Cliff grabbed one of several gloves and ran out to left field. Trying to bunt for a base hit. Pujols is on it, and he throws it away. Owings has scored. Ahmed in at third, and the Diamondbacks get an insurance run at 6-3. Little soft underhand toss. A nice bunt there by Cliff Pennington, who's had quite a night. They rule that a single and an RBI for Pennington.
I love that play. If you've got a guy at the plate that can handle the bat, can bunt the ball, and a runner at third base that has good instincts and can read that bunt, it guarantees you're going to stay out of the double play.
The error is on Pujols, allowing the runner Ahmed to get to third. So Owings is in, Ahmed's at third, Pennington at first, still only one out. 6-3 ball game, and here's A.J. Pollock. A.J. singled his last time up. He walked and scored in the third, came into the Goldie 3-run homer. A.J. now with 8 hits on the road trip. But he's down, no balls and 2 strikes. Fly ball right field. Cole Calhoun is there. Ahmed at third will tag. Here he comes. And the throw is not in time. The run scores. 7-3 Diamondbacks. And an RBI for A.J. Pollock. Pennington moves up as well. Mike Scioscia.
Played nicely by Calhoun out there in right field. Had all his momentum going into his throw. Boy, and Nick Ahmed coming across the plate with that lead leg up in the air. He doesn't hit home plate until right there. Well, the Angels might have an argument there.
Now remember, the Angels lost their challenge. Now you can try and get them to look at 7-1-3 here. But that's the umpire's decision, and the plate umpire tonight is the crew chief, Bill Miller. He does not have to review.
Once again, watch, the front leg is up in the air, over home plate. Tough to tell from that angle when the tag was applied to the back of Nick Ahmed.
They're going to look at the play, and the headsets are going on.
What a nice job by Cole Calhoun out in right field. That's exactly the way you're supposed to play that as an outfielder. Stay behind the ball so that you're charging forward as you make the catch.
Another replay review brought to you by Mix One. Now remember, they've changed the rules on this year. The umpire may initiate the review 7th inning or later if a manager is out of challenges. The managers are supposed to use a challenge to review any collision type play at home plate. That falls under Rule 713, but if a manager is out of challenges after the start of the 7th inning, and that's the situation in which Scioscia now finds himself, the crew chief, which is the plate umpire Bill Miller, may still choose to review whether there was a violation of Rule 713, which is the collision rule. And it looks like Scioscia made a pretty good case there because the headsets are on.
It took quite a bit of convincing by Mike Scioscia, because at one point Bill Miller turned and walked away like he was done. He'd heard everything he wanted to hear, and Scioscia came back one more time to plead his case. And only then did the umpires go put the headsets on.
But since it's his own catcher, now you can also challenge this year whether a runner left a base early while tagging up on a fly ball, or did he properly touch a base? But he's out of challenges.
Boy, that is really close. Really close. That tag on the back and the back leg hitting home plate. Needless to say, this is a huge call. That's an inning-ending double play if they call Nick Ahmed out at home plate. Otherwise, you've got Goldie coming to the plate. The Diamondbacks have another run on the board. A couple guys in scoring position. One of the more lengthy appeals and review processes we've had in a long time.
I think he gets the leg in there before the glove comes and gets him on the back.
Yeah, certainly it doesn't appear to be enough to overturn the call.
Socha is to be commended for getting them to look at this play in the first place with him out of challenges. It's not a collision rule violation, it's his catcher. You might convince them that the runner left third base early, or you're going to get him to look at the tag, which is probably what's happening here. Either way, pretty good job here by Mike Socha. Try selling cars.
It's true. If this was strictly an appeal, whether he left early or not, you just get on the mound. Safe at home.
What to do about nothing. So the call stands, which means there was not enough clear and convincing evidence to overturn it, and that's another replay review brought to you by Mix One. So it's 7-3 Diamondbacks. The RBI for Pollock. The run scores for Ahmed. And they'll walk Goldie with first base open and Pennington at second. 4 minutes and 50 seconds on that review, we're told.
Now, this has been a repeating pattern for Paul Goldschmidt recently. Gets 2 or 3 hits in his first 3 or 4 trips to the plate in a ball game, and then gets intentionally walked every chance they get the rest of the series. The 16th intentional base on balls this year for Paul Goldschmidt.
Leads the majors. So they'll work to David Peralta. Peralta 0 for 4. He struck out his last time up.
Big that the Diamondbacks bounce back with a couple of runs after giving up that 3 spot in the bottom half of the 8th inning.
They've answered with 2 in the 9th. 2 on and 2 out for Peralta. David so far 4 for 18 on the road trip. He's got 1 RBI. Did not go, says Adrian Johnson at third. Either that or you were signaling foul.
Or fair.
Exactly. Not quite sure. Maybe both. 2-1. I wouldn't mind seeing Yasmani Tomas get a chance to hit here with the bases full. I don't think Addison Reed would mind either. Three and one to Peralta. There's the strike. Hold on there, David.
Maybe some wishful thinking on the part of David Peralta. A high changeup up there around the belt. Those are rarely called strikes, but it was clearly in the box.
Sal is trying to get a sign there, almost balked. There go the runners, foul back. Been a long night for Mike Scioscia down there in that Angel dugout. Talked a lot about the Mike Scioscia managerial tree. Well, another branch was chopped down today. Ron Renneke was fired by the Brewers earlier this year. Bud Black today, relieved of his duties as Padres skipper. Both former Scioscia coaches. There's ball four. The bases are loaded for Tomas.
Mike Butcher, the pitching coach, out to have a word. We talk about those 2-out runs by the Diamondbacks, 128 this season. David Peralta had 19 2-out RBIs. He took the base on balls to load him up for Goldie, who has 20 2-out RBI. Oh, actually, excuse me. Yasmani Tomas has 12 2-out RBIs. So many of them on the list, I just read the wrong name. A.J. Pollock has 13 for that matter.
So they're loaded with two down for Yasmani, who had a solo homer in the sixth. Cliff Pennington is the runner at third. Paul Goldschmidt at second, and David Peralta is at first. This was Yasmani Tomas in the sixth that kicked off the top of the fence. As they say at Taco Bell, sometimes you got to live Tomas.
That's right.
That was the home run. It's got us 5 runs. Tomas has hit safely in 5 straight games now. He's got 6 hits on the road trip. And we anticipate that he'll be the first baseman tomorrow night here. As Chip Hale is going to give Goldie a half a day, as Chip says. Goldie will DH. That's in there for a call, strike 3. But the Diamondbacks get 2 insurance runs. And as we go to the bottom of the 9th inning at Angel Stadium, they lead the Angels 7-3. On his 31st birthday, he's our Arizona Federal Credit Union Power Player of the Game. He had to go in as the emergency left fielder when Ender Inciarte suffered a strained right hamstring. And how about this? He's made some great catches. He threw out a runner, Eric Ibar, trying to stretch a single into a double. He's also had a pair of hits and an RBI. This bunt single good for a run batted in. And a terrific night for our Arizona Federal Credit Union Power Player of the Game, Cliff Pennington. Tomorrow night he'll catch. You never know.
You never know.
He's got his own set of gear. David Freese leads off the Angels' ninth against Addison Reed, who's out there in a save opportunity after giving up, or partially giving up, 3 runs in the 8th inning.
We're talking about the injury to Inciarte and what that might do to the plans to have Goldie DH tomorrow. I think he can still DH, but what you may see is Tomas go to the outfield and perhaps have Cliff Pennington come in and play first base tomorrow. Or play Penny at third, move Jake Lamb to first. There's a lot of different options for Chip Hale with the injury to Ender Inciarte. Or he could decide to play Goldie at first base tomorrow. I mean, even though he said he'd like to give him a half a day off, for Goldie, you know, he's going to do everything he always does every day anyway. It's not like it's much of a day off.
Stay tuned. Diamondbacks tomorrow, if they can hang on here, will have another shot to climb back up the mountain, take the Hillary step, and reach the summit of Mount 500. A win tonight, they're 31-32.
Other options possibly at first base. Wellington Castillo has played some first base in his day. Jared Saltalamacchia has been down there from time to time. Not that you want to get both your catchers involved in the game at the same time, but as I said, a lot of options.
Freese hits an easy fly ball to shallow center. Pollock broke back but now comes in, and that's the first down. FoxSportsArizona.com. All your online local sports coverage you won't find anywhere else. You get post-game analysis and reaction from the D-backs clubhouse. More on Tony La Russa's Animal Rescue Foundation. Jody Jackson paid a visit there over the weekend. Plus the Local 9 with Daniel Hudson, Chase Anderson, Archie Bradley, and Jake Lamb. All that and more, FoxSportsArizona.com. Sarah Hudson was yelling at me in the lobby of the hotel the other day.
Uh-oh.
She said, when are you going to get my husband on one of those cup of coffee shows? I said, I don't know. It's not up to me. Quit yelling at me. By the way, the Local 9 will re-air on Fox Sports Arizona tonight after the postgame show. 1-1 to Cole Calhoun, who's 0 for 3.
Well, to say this has been quite a run for the Diamondbacks pitching staff has been would be an understatement. They've pitched 33 of their last 35 innings have been scoreless.
Robbie Ray started with 5 2/3 hitless innings tonight. Roller to second. Owings is there, 2 down.
The Giants only scored 2 runs in that 3-game series at AT&T Park. They both came in 1 inning, and the 3 runs today for the Angels came in the 8th.
It's been quite a road trip. The Diamondbacks swept at Dodger Stadium, went to San Francisco and swept the Giants. And now the first of 4 against the Angels. They lead 7-3, 2 outs in the 9th, and here's Johnny G. Vitello, the Angels' second baseman. Chance here for Addison Reed to get his first save since May 10th. Daniel Hudson yesterday got his first career save, pitching the 9th inning at AT&T Park. Natty ahead 0-2. Diamondback Live pregame show tomorrow at 6:30 on Fox Sports Arizona. Game 2 of the 4-game set. Jeremy Hellickson for the D-backs and the right-hander Garrett Richards for the Angels. Diamondback Live postgame show coming up as soon as this one is over. By the way, on that last replay review, they did look at whether the runner left third early on the tag. And they also looked, once you open that can of worms, you can look whatever you want. They also looked at the tag at the plates. And here is Nick Ahmed. There's the save for Addison Reed, and there's the win, 7-3 for the Diamondbacks. They win their 4th in a row. And happy birthday, Cliff Pennington, who tonight played like a Hall of Fame left fielder.
He did. He did it all tonight on the field on his birthday. Diamondbacks needed somebody to step in and plug that hole left when Ender Inciarte left the game, and Cliff did it not only with the bat, but with the glove.
And so the Diamondbacks get to 31-32 on the season, and they've won 4 in a row. And with 2 Diamondbacks home runs in today's game, a total of $24,000 was raised for prostate cancer research. You can make a donation, fans. Go online to homerunchallenge.org.